Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to FortressCraft Evolved. I'm Axon Evolved, and today we're back here in our world, but there's a couple things I wanted to address before we get further into this video. Number one, you guys may have noticed a while back I broke the 100 subscriber threshold here on YouTube. And I wanted to just thank all of you guys who have hit that subscribe button. You know, really motivates me to keep going. It lets me know, like, hey, this is something that people, I guess, don't mind watching. So, you know, I'm going to continue to make these videos, and I just want to thank you all for sticking around for, what is this, episode 38 or something? I'll have the correct episode number up in the title when I post it, but that's not all. We've been, you know, now that I have a little bit of time, you know, I'm done with my finals at school, blah, blah, blah. I've got a little bit more free time during the summer months, so I've been streaming a lot more. So my tentative schedule is looking something like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, about 1 p.m. Pacific. And if you guys are interested in seeing any of those, I play, you know, I sometimes do FortressCraft, I do Satisfactory. I got a couple other games that I want to start getting into as well. Start putting videos up here on YouTube. But if you want to check that out, I'll put the link in the description to my Twitch. You know, feel free to hop in there. And, you know, those streams do more than, you know, just entertain, right? We accomplished some stuff there. So on the last stream, my 100 subscriber special stream, we actually did a little bit of work on our base here. So you guys might notice we have an almost fully, well, that hurt. We've almost got our perimeter wall all the way done. And I think it is looking fantastic. Better land before I die again. But we are not completely done. I didn't want to do all of it on the stream and not let you guys who watch here on YouTube miss out. So I intentionally left a couple towers. By a couple, I mean one. I left this one tower that I hadn't finished yet, as well as a lot of the details that are going to go on to, that have to do with the actual structural defense of the base. You know, the whole reason we're building this wall in the first place is not just for decoration. So let me go into one of the established ones and kind of show you what we're working with. So you guys might have remembered a few episodes, well, geez, it's probably been like 20 episodes now. We kind of built this prototype wall defense unit here, and it's been, you know, it just kind of is what it is. I think I'm going to end up getting rid of all these Mark II turrets and exchanging them for Mark III. And that is going to be, you know, the whole purpose of the turrets. I had the Mark II turrets with the thought process that they could handle the faster flyers because they can shoot faster than the Mark III turrets. And it's kind of like a waste of a Mark III turret to kill a little, like, mosquito-looking things. So actually, you know, now that I'm talking out loud about it, maybe I'll keep it. But I had always said that I wanted to use these big turrets, these big towers, to kind of really supplement the defense. So let's take a look what we did. So inside, we got a Mark V battery. And not only that, it's in, I think, 5 of the 8 towers. So I think these 4 have them, and then like 1 over there. Mark V batteries are not cheap to build. They take about, I think, oh geez, what do they take? They probably take about, in fact, let's go look. I want to say about 9 Mark IV batteries worth of like components. So if we look at the batteries here, right? So a Mark V battery, right? So that's essentially 1 Mark IV battery gives you 1/9 of a Mark V battery. So 9 Mark IV batteries give you 1 Mark V batteries. So 9 times 5 is what, 45? So whatever 45 times 27 is, that's how many Mark IV battery components we've had to have. So it's just not, it's not cheap, and it's not fast, and I don't have a super robust system for the components I need. So it, you know, it's a work in progress. But let me go down and show you kind of what how the power's flowing these days. So if we look down here, this is the corner, we're under the corner we were just at. You'll see this all is the same for now. I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to change it. What I probably am going to change it purely because we are not going to be able to keep up with super power demands off of this setup. But as it is right now, these batteries come down just 1 block so that the lasers can hit them. So, I mean, they're only getting about 1900 power per second, which, It's enough when they're just passively filling up, but it's not enough if we have like a sustained defense. So eventually I want to swap this out, probably actually expand this setup to include more turbines if possible. But that's not going to be today, I don't think. Today what I want to do, I want to finish up this wall right here and this tower, so that I can kind of show you guys the process and how everything goes, like how the building process for these goes. If you guys are interested in doing this yourself, it uses a combination of basically pixel circles, and some of they look a little interesting because some of them are a little bit offset and this and that, and it has to do with the walls and stuff. But I'll kind of explain all that as I'm building it, and then you know, maybe I'll put a little bit of music to it and do some, maybe like a little time lapse or something. I'm not 100% sure. So let's get started, and I'll explain to you how this is done. So first thing I got to do is I got to take out all. I mean, I could do this after the fact, but it's just easier to just get in here and get it done, you know. That way, A, I recover the Mark IV battery pieces so that I can use them in Mark V battery pieces. But B, it just makes it so that I don't have to come in and do it after the fact. In fact, what am I doing? This needs the Mark V battery is actually a 5x5 square, which means it's like one bigger all the way around than a Mark IV battery. So we just do something like this. You know, we'll give it its 5x5 base. And I usually place this bottom layer first because it's so much easier to just come up. And this is 9 tall, right? So I just go up 9. And then you just, you know, auto-craft. And then you always have to pay attention for when you're... I don't like to use the build to me for the last steps just because it can glitch out sometimes. So I always place these individually. And then just like that, you know, we've got a Mark V battery. And there are a few things that I need to kind of still figure out. Because if you look, right, this is the final height. This tower, first layer of the tower is up to the final height, right? So depending on how we're going to do the laser setup, like we could hypothetically just put the lasers inside here and they'll shoot through the walls, no problem. But I'm not 100% sold on doing that because I don't, you know, that feels kind of cheesy. It kind of feels like I would want the lasers and stuff to be kind of out and like able to actually, you know, be visible and fire from an outside position. So that's something we're definitely going to have to figure out. But generally, this is how I start. So this circle, now these are essentially just pixel art voxel circles, however you want to call them. And really they are differentiated by how like the diameter, right? So from this block right here to this block right here, that would be the size of this circle. So if I do something like this, right, we can say, oh, I missed that. Anyway, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So this is a 13 block circle. Now, you might notice that this area over here looks a little bit different than, like, these corners all look a certain way and this one looks a little different. Well, if you count it up, this is actually a little bit farther out, right? So these are 6. So it's a little bit farther out purely because we have this diagonal wall here, right? So if you look at the side walls here where there's a much more even and straightforward connection point, it's a standard, it's a 5 wide wall right here. So the general gist of this is, so for the 13 diameter circle, right, you just do essentially, really, everything is based on a 5 wide wall in this whole system, right? So you have them in all the I don't know, I guess there's not really a corner on a circle, but you have 5 walls, and then essentially you're just doing 2 like this to connect them up. And that's what you want to do for the first layer. And I think these are 8 high right now. Let me see. Let me get down here and count them. Yeah, so this is all at a height of 8 blocks from the ground level. And in fact, I'm going to lower these a little bit so it makes it a little less confusing. right? And the style I'm going for here. So if you come look over here, you'll notice essentially the next circle up, the next layer on one of these finished towers, it's basically just one diameter bigger, right? So this is what you'd call a 15 diameter circle, this part right here. So if we look at how to build that, there's a couple ways. Now, this game, I mean, it's not the easiest to build vertically, I mean, efficiently. So essentially what I do is I just go to the corner blocks, right? And I just place down an anchor point. And all that anchor point is going to do is give me somewhere to affix my blocks to, right? And I also like to do this. I know that this floor is going to be, like, I'm going to want to access this. So I leave it open, but I fill in the rest of the floor just to kind of make it easier to work on. And because we're going to need a base to walk on after everything's built, right? So we just fill that in. Now all we need to do is essentially we're going to place the start of the next layer. And that's all this anchor's used for. Like once you have that, you don't need it anymore. So I'm just going to repeat that all the way around. All right, and just like that, we have all of the little extra, the next layer, the 15 diameter block on there. So what I like to do is I like to kind of build out the walls here, right? Because everything is kind of based off of where the wall is. So once you kind of have the flat spots of the circle built out, what you're going to want to do is kind of fill in the rest of the gaps. And if we come look over here, there's actually like a nice little pattern. This layer and this top layer are the same. So I'm just going to show you how the top one works, right? So essentially what you're going to do is you're going to create this little M looking shape, or I guess it's like a 90-degree angle kind of with a 45 in the middle, whatever. So it's essentially just two blocks, a dot. So I like to remember these with like little nicknames, right? So this is line, dot, line for me. And that way I know when I come over here, I'm gonna place another anchor, right? And you could just stand in one spot and do it, right? So this block is an anchor. It's not going to be used in the final design, right? So we just do line, dot, line. And now everything is completely filled out where we need to be, but we have a bunch of extra anchors. So then I just go back and get rid of them. And you'll see if we come down here, this new area that we built is completely filling in the gaps of the old one. So, and that's really all. The only reason we're using concentric circles is so that there's no gaps in the middle. And another reason that we're using this specifically, I'm using a 15 block because if you come look over here, and now I haven't done this up here, so you'll kind of see it more than once. But if we look down here, using a 15 diameter circle means that I can use these little dragon's teeth or whatever you want to call them every other block. So it just gives me very consistent spacing for all of the whatever these are called. I should know what those are. I'll have to look those up. And then we just go through and repeat the process all the way around until we have it finished. Okay, so now that we have a full circle up here, the next thing to do is to place the little ridges, right? So I like to just start at the middle, and then I can, just kind of stand on it without having to move. And I'll start at the opposite end, and you just kind of, well, once you do it right, and just place it every other block. That gives you nice, consistent spacing on the whole level, and then it's good to go. It looks fine, it functions well, and we're just forever getting attacked. And this is kind of why we need to get these defenses up. I'm honestly just tired of losing. I'm tired of your base is destroyed, So once we place these all down, boom, complete layer. And this is exactly how this is going to stay. So there's going to be no change in this design. We've eliminated all of the extra blocks, all the little anchor blocks, to give us as much kind of floor space as possible. Because, we still got to figure out, are there going to be lasers? Are there going to be, how is it going to, am I going to have power storage blocks in here? Where the turret's going to go, all that, right? So we want to give ourselves as much flexibility to move around as possible. So if we go look at this one, right? Now I'll just put, in fact, I think there might be a hole over here. No? Okay. So if I put a little hole in here, you'll see, now this one doesn't have a Mark V battery either, right? So, but you'll see, the Mark V battery would have come just one below this. So the easiest way to kind of figure out where the next ones are going, based on this design, if you'll notice, let me go back out here a little bit. This concentric ring is much bigger. Like there's much more of it than this one, because this goes from a 13 to a 15. This one goes from 15 to 13 to 11 to 9, right? So if we go in here and look, again, the diameter is the distance between the two edges, right? So this is 1, 2, 5 is 7, 8, 9, right? So we have a 9, 11, and so on and so forth. So the way to kind of figure that out, the easiest way to do that is I just go here, and I know I just use this as a spot. Oh, I need to make sure I get the height right. And this is why measurements are so crucial. So good thing I did this, I guess. This one only has a height of 5, which is wrong. Everything else has this layer being 6 high. So I'm going to show you how to build it the correct way, and then I'll go back and fix that so that everything matches up. So all I do, this is actually much easier, right? So you just go up your 6, and then you can literally just use the build to me function and do it no problem, right? This is like the simplest part of the process. All right, so once you have the 9 circle, you can just place a floor down. I do it because it's just easier to walk around. And again, we're going to do this kind of the same process, only this one's going to go a little bit more, right? So, and it's a little bit to do in this game with, you know, no like hover mode or anything like that. So again, we're going to place a foundation or an anchor, I guess, but we're going to use this to kind of build up a step. So you see that one has 1, 2, 3 layers. So we're essentially going to emulate those layers. So I like to build something like this, right? Now, it's essentially just a series of anchors with the actual layer blocks on them. So once you kind of have that done, and you know, if you're kind of good with the hovering, you can do it without going on the ground, but however you need to get it done. This is just the easiest way I find. So then I can just go through after the fact and just remove the anchors, and I have the final block positions placed. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat that on all the rest of the corners. All right, so now you can see I've done this on every edge that we're going to do. Now, essentially what we do here, right, we are just filling in the empty spots on each level. So I like to just kind of stand at one point and do the opposite corners and then just kind of rotate, and it all ends up working out itself. So as long as you remember the pattern, right? So this one's a 9, so for an 11, it's essentially just filling in these two empty spaces, right? So again, you kind of just place your extra anchors and then remove them. And then you have your thing, your edge here, your corner. And then for this one, we've already seen it, right? So it's similar. So essentially we come out, and then this one is like an M shape. So let me show you what I mean by that. So if we go look over here, right, we just did this layer. This part right here is this is the only part we're building in that's new, right? So it's like a connected M. So we just come back over here, and we'll put the anchors. We go out, 2, over, boom, right? So this is the M we're keeping right here, and then we just kind of place some extras for anchors, right? And just like that. That's all you need. And then for the top one, we just did the top one, right? So it's that, the dot, those two, and then connect it back up. Get rid of the stuff we don't need. And now we've just completed the edge, like one quarter of the edge. And if you look, it's got everything we need. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat that, and we'll come back to the final product. And just like that, we've got all of the corners put in, and now we just put the little spines on it. Whatever, you know, I gotta look up what these things are called. All right, so I've looked it up, and I think these are called parapets. So if you're a castle terminology expert and that's wrong, let me know down in the comments so I can make sure I'm using the right terminology. But essentially, that is all there is to building these kind of these turrets. or these towers. And that is, I mean, well, hello, floating island. That is essentially like the whole castle, right? So if we kind of do a little flyover, we'll see, well, with the exception of that wall, you know, everything is built. We have our concentric octagons, our defenses that we still need to put in, but you'll see them kind of working over here. So yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish off this wall and, you know, rebuild the top of that, and maybe I'll do it to make a nice little time lapse with some music in it or whatever. Of course, in fact, I think I am going to do that. The music, Stream Beats by Harris Heller. Completely free music, no copyright claims, no worries about that. I find it pretty good. So if you're looking for good music and not want to worry about, you know, videos getting demonetized or VODs getting muted on Twitch or whatever, check it out. Stream Beats by Harris Heller. You can find it pretty much everywhere. So anyway, I'm going to get started on this, and then I'll bring you guys back on the other side. Alright, so we got everything fixed. You might notice that these walls are filled in and these walls are not in the middle. And that's because I need to incorporate the defensive line that we have set up over there into all of these walls. So I think I'm going to go through I kind of went through how I did this one, but that was kind of a while ago. So I need to, I need to refresh myself, but B, I need to get something set up on at least one other corner for this episode. And, you know, if I do any more, I'll probably do that on a stream. So definitely check that out if you're interested. Check out my Twitch. So I think I'm going to do maybe maybe this one, since I just built it, right? I'm going to set up all the defenses in this wall segment right here and kind of bring you guys along for that so that you can see kind of how that works. All right, so if we look at kind of what's going on here, it looks like we have a series of Mark III batteries, you know, along this front edge that are all connected to each other with a series of generators behind them filled with enriched coal. That is probably, if I remember correctly, it's sourced. Yeah, it just kind of comes up from our power system we have down below. So we need to kind of do the same thing, right? I need to move a coal line over to this wall segment over here and start getting Mark III batteries placed. In fact, how many did I have over there? Okay, so it looks like it's about 10 in the first layer and then 9 behind it. So let me go move all that stuff and kind of get that ready. All right, so here's kind of the temporary hole that I've made. Well, here, the proposed hole, and it looks like the closest coal we have is somewhere over here. And we have a spot that we can just kind of branch out. Does that interfere with this? It does, but you know, we can just move it off the side. So I'm essentially just gonna kind of come out a little bit. All right, maybe to like there. And again, this is why I like this system so much. You know, I could just do everything with lasers, which is a perfectly valid way of doing things. But I don't, like I said kind of before, I don't have the generation capability yet. I'm not mass producing power with turbines or anything yet. So this is kind of like the best thing I have going right now. So we'll just do that. And now that's ready. So let's go up and start placing the rest of the stuff. Okay, so essentially this is kind of how it starts to shape up. I put the first 10 batteries down as like dead center in the wall. And then all I'm doing is putting the next set just right behind them to connect them all up. Pretty easy. From there, I'm going to put generators in between all of the... yeah, no, that's right. In between everything, right? With hoppers in between those. So essentially, that's all it is. It's just that setup with, you know, coal flowing. And you can see why we need this. I mean, look at that. Our little laser batteries aren't really doing much, and we haven't reset up our missile distribution system yet. So this is kind of what we're stuck with. So I'm going to pipe this all up, or belt it all up, I should say, and then at least get the power flowing. And a quick word on that. So essentially the way I do this, right? You can see this is kind of, I've got 7 hoppers. So I go from the center one, right? And I just make sure that it kind of cascades down the line. Kind of like an overflow system, right? So that when the farthest on the end is full, then it'll just kind of backfill towards the middle. And I do this the opposite. I go the opposite direction on the other side of the halfway point. So essentially it's coming up to the middle and working its way to the outside. With this hopper being the very last one to fill. Then, literally from there, it's just a matter of figuring out, so okay, so there's the middle. Just getting the coal up there. Sorry if Spider Bro's like real loud. He's like glitching out over here trying to kill things. If you didn't see in the last couple videos, we had to figure out a sink for our lithium. So I got charged coils going back again to Spider Bro over there. And he's using them, but of course he likes to be in the middle of the videos. I mean, it's kind of his thing. I don't know. So to solve this, we're just going to do something like that and something like that. And now we should see, I can just close this back up because we're done with that. And we should see this generator start to kick on. And I already see power flowing. Perfect. So now is a good time to see if the Mark IIIs, the Mark III lasers are going to be worth putting here. I don't think I have any on my hotbar. Let me just throw some on there real quick. Alright, so I'm just going to place them down, I guess. Like in the middle of the attack. They're probably going to deplete the power very quickly because we're literally in the middle of an attack. But we can kind of see how that works. I mean, it's definitely a good start. That is much more powerful than what we have over there. And I can also supplement that with like ancillary Mark II lasers if I have to. You know, go a little bit farther out and do Mark II lasers purely to get the little flyers. But oh, look at Spider Bro doing whatever it is he's doing. So the last step for these walls, for that corner, is to just get this reinforced wood and literally just fill in the gaps. Because, you know, we want it to look somewhat decent, right? We can go through all this trouble just for it to look like hot garbage. So, literally just filling in the rest of these holes. And that's pretty much it. That's the final design for our castle walls here. And a couple things to note about how I designed this. A couple things I want to talk about. I actually spent some time putting this down on graph paper, which is, I mean, when you're playing a game like this that uses literal squares and grids, you can plan things out on graph paper. It's really nice. So all of these distances, both the diagonal distances and all the straight shots, were made so that the parapets here would all be equal all the way across. So you see, like on each side, they end the exact same way. The diagonals, well, what I've done really is take those away so that it does look right. That's how it's supposed to be, and that's how it really is when it comes out. The spacing is all even, is really the gist of what I'm trying to say. We got even spacing all the way around on everyone. Well, I didn't really put parapets on this one just because, you know, we're in the... That's the keep. That's just the missile launching. But it's all designed to be as even as possible. And I think it turned out pretty well. If we kind of take a grand look, like... That's a pretty good design. I am pretty damn happy with that, to be honest. So with all that being said, guys, I think I'm going to call this an episode. I don't know how long it's going to end up being after it's posted and edited and all that stuff. But let me know what you guys think of the design. I really like it. I think it kind of captures what I wanted to do in the first place. Now, the next phase of the design will probably be to add kind of more cosmetic stuff, maybe... you know, arches in the door, in the walls and stuff like that, just to make it look a little bit better, because right now it is still just like a big open floor plan. But that's just from the design standpoint. Longer term, we got to do a couple things. We need to get our missiles set up and going again. We need to finish the defenses for inside all these towers. Figure out how we're going to incorporate all those lasers, because there's going to be a ton of lasers. Like, this base is essentially going to be Mark III lasers and missiles. That's gonna be doing it, right? Some other things I'm starting to notice. Over here, you see we're not producing the amount of fuel that we need, right? And I think that has to do... There's a number of reasons. It looks like we're actually depleting our refined liquid resin over here, which means we're not producing it fast enough here. So I need to figure out a way to incorporate way more of the liquid resin refiners, because if we look inside, these hoppers are both full. It's not for the fact that we're not farming it fast enough. We're not processing it fast enough. This farm in here is more than capable of keeping up, but we're not able to get through it quick enough. So one of the short list agenda items is to get this situation figured out. So we need to do probably, I don't know, make that 4 or 5 tall to really just pump out fuel ASAP. And I probably want to end up like doubling the amount of refiners too. The liquid resin refiners, just because we can produce the refined liquid resin much quicker, which both systems use. Both our power grid downstairs and our whole missile setup uses. And now that we have that kind of like this process automated, one of the things I was noticing, like I said, is the fuel is now the bottleneck. Yeah, you can see, look, we're essentially running out. We have all the empties we could ever need. We have all the other stuff because we're getting it straight up from where it goes, all the gold and the copper. You know, we're good on that stuff. But, you know, that's just stuff that in the short-term future I want to handle. Another one, this lithium's backing up again. So I'm tempted to do, well, I don't know. I don't know how useful that would be, right? what I was thinking is I'm tempted to do a loop, right, that takes our excess resources, and if it's full, diverts them back this way to get master rate again. That might just remove some of the items. But we can do that. Honestly, you know, we can do that with a priority splitter. Just have something like right here, right? Where it'll go in, and if the right side is full, which goes to the smelting array, then everything will go left and just kind of feed right into one of these. I think that might be what we do just for the sake of having things move along. Because you were gonna macerate lithium to get more ore, but I think the macerators work at like an interval thing. Like they're not gonna, you know, who knows how it will actually work out. So those are just kind of the short-term problems that we need to kind of figure out and solve and get our base really running in tip-top shape. One other big thing though, huge thing that I want to take care of, all these Falcors. That might be something we start to handle in the not too distant future, probably after the missiles. The missiles are much lower hanging fruit, but I want to basically eliminate everything you see down here. Completely get rid of it all, because I want all these extra bug parts. You know, I want all these, like we're already, you know, that's probably filling up, right? Yeah. I want to get all this stuff either long-term storing or macerating the extra bug parts, because those give out some like tasty tier 2 minerals, and if we can just use that to kind of bolster our smelting system, that'll just be perfect. And if we can get rid of all this stuff from the surface, that'd be even better. So we're not just seeing that stuff everywhere, and it would really clean up the look of the base. So I've been kind of rambling way too long. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you like what you saw, hit the thumbs up button. If you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button so you can kind of keep up with the series and see other stuff. I do want to start incorporating more games into the channel. I've got, like I said, I got more free time these days, so I don't think it'll be that hard. I'm teetering between maybe Astroneer, Scrap Mechanic, something like that. I know Scrap Mechanic just came out with a new survival game mode, so never played it, but it looks really interesting, and I think it's something that you guys would enjoy too. So let me know your thoughts down below. Check down below for my Twitch link. I'll put the schedule and when I'm going live on my Twitter, so if you're not following me there, hit that up too. And thank you guys again so much. And with that, guys, we'll see you in the next one.